I want to bring a date to this body to think about. It's a day we've all known is coming for a very long time, but there seems to be no urgency about this date. The date is December the 21st. If everybody's wondering, what is December the 21st? What's the big deal about that date? I would say that's the problem. December 21st is the date that Title 42 authority ends on our southern border. Now, what's Title 42 authority? Everybody in this body knows this, but Title 42 is a temporary pandemic-related authority at our southern border to be able to deal with individuals that are coming across the border that they could be turned around. That authority was put in by the previous administration and has remained through this administration, but it's been chipped away. And as of December the 21st, that authority goes away. So what happens at that date? Well, the best estimates that we got initially from DHS was it would move from about 6,000 people a day illegally crossing the border to 18,000 people a day illegally crossing the border at that time. But realistically now, they won't give us an estimate at all. So let me just put this in context where we are at our southwest border right now. Because for a year and a half, I have asked Secretary Mayorkas, what happens when Title 42 authority goes away? Because it is temporary. What is your plan? And for 2 years almost, we're working on it. We're very aware that's temporary. It will go away at some point. We have a plan. And then months ago, they came out with their 6-point plan. Let me read their 6-point plan to you. The 6-point plan of what to do at the termination of Title 42 is acquire and deploy resources to address increased volumes of migrants. In other words, be prepared to handle the number coming at them. Number 2, deliver more efficient and fair immigration processing. Number 3, use expedited removal to process and remove those who don't have a valid asylum claim. Number 4, work with other Western Hemisphere governments to address the root causes of migration. Number 5, bolster NGO capacity, that is to be able to handle the flow. And number 6 was target and disrupt cartels. All those are fine. My question is, are they working? When Ali Mayorkas was in front of the committee just a few weeks ago, I asked him, Title 42 is now going away December 21st. What is your plan? And he repeated this back. The problem is they've already implemented these 6 items, and the flow continues to accelerate. Again, let me put this in perspective because it's hard to be able to wrap your head around the numbers. During the Obama administration, there was a massive surge in the number of people illegally crossing the border. That was the time many people in this body fully remember when there were additional detention facilities that were opened up. There was a big push to be able to increase the capacity during that time period. That massive surge on the border during the Obama administration was 2014, and it was 569,000 people a year. That was a crisis level that Jay Johnson came out and said, this is crisis level surge. It was 569,000 people that year illegally crossed the border. To put that in context, we've had that many people illegally cross the border in the last 2 months. What the Obama administration called a crisis over 12 months, we've had in the last 2. We have well over 2 million people a year that are illegally crossing the border now. And in the last 2 months, since the nearing of Title 42 is coming, that number is rapidly increasing. During the Obama administration, they called it a crisis if there were 1,500 people illegally crossing the border a day. We're now approaching 9,000 people illegally crossing the border a day. And when I ask, what is the plan? I get, well, we have this 6-point plan. Here's the problem. When I dig a little bit deeper, and we have been digging deeper to be able to find out how this is working, currently there are no cooperative agreements with other countries to be able to return back individuals that are coming to our country where we don't have a relationship. I know that's on their plan to get it at some point. We don't have it. And December 21st is next week. All the work to be done to increase NGO capacity and processing capacity, that's happening. How to move people into the country faster, that's actually true. In fact, Newspaper reports, even as recently as today, have reported that ICE agents are being told to release lower-level prisoners that they're currently holding to be able to allow more surge capacity for processing individuals after the 21st of December. That's today's news. So they're gearing up to expedite processing people into the country. They're just not slowing down the number of people coming into the country nor providing a deterrent. Other than this one comment that was made to my staff this week when we asked point blank on the expedited removal process, and they said, yes, we're absolutely increasing the number of people that we use for expedited removal. That sounds great until you check the facts on it. Here are the facts. This administration, in this year, the number of people that they've declared expedited removal, they've actually removed from those folks 7% of the people. 7% that were declared expedited removal. Again, let me go back to the Obama administration and set this in context. 2015 in the Obama administration, expedited removal, they were removing 69% of the people just that one year. And that's not an anomaly year, that's typical. Of people that were declared expedited removal, they were actually removing. This administration is using the term expedited removal so people will think, oh, they're doing something. Except only 7% have actually been removed. Now listen, we have a wide diversity of opinion in this body about what needs to happen in immigration. I don't run into a lot of people that like what's happening on our southern border right now. It's chaos. I personally asked the Secretary of Homeland Security how many people that are crossing our border right now, of the 2 million plus in the past year, how many of those individuals have we done a background check on them from their home country? His answer to me in a hearing was, let me get back to you on that. By the way, I already know the answer to that, and so does he. It's 0. We do a background check on individuals when they cross our border to see if they have a criminal record in the United States or if they're on a terror watch list. But we have no idea for the 2 million individuals that have crossed our border if they were fleeing poverty or fleeing justice. We have no idea. We know they paid the cartels to be able to get through Mexico, and then we literally ushered them into the country. In the 21st of December, this problem accelerates even bigger. To this body, I say, we have 4 times as many people illegally crossing our border now than during the Obama administration when they called it a crisis. Right now, we have 4 times as many people coming. In December 21st, the problem gets worse because we cannot, as a body, speak into this issue and say, stop. I don't know what it's going to take in our nation, because this is not a partisan issue across the country. It's just not. I run into people from all parties of all backgrounds that say, I'm all in on legal immigration. I just think we should know who's coming through the door. Is that so unfair? Or to have some way of processing people to be able to know? Now, again, I have folks say to me, well, you know what happens to these folks? Well, let me tell you the current process. Because the Biden administration continues to say, we're going to fight against all the push and pull factors for these individuals coming. Can I tell you what the pull factor is? This is not hard. The pull factor is, right now, the vast majority of the folks that cross the border illegally, the Biden administration is processing them as fast as they can. The fastest way to process them is to give them what's called parole. That's the vast majority. Now, this is a different process than what previous presidents have done, of all parties. They're processing individuals for speed to be able to give them parole. Parole gets them across the border quickly, hands them a document, and gives them a work permit that day. That day, they get a work permit. Then they're told to be able to go check in at ICE But the next appointment at ICE right now is 5 years in the future. Once they check in with ICE 5 years from now, then they're put in the next line to get to a federal court to make their asylum claim. That is currently 10 years out. Can I explain to you what's happening? This is not hard. We're handing out American work permits at the border to people we've done no vetting for, ushering them into the country and said, we'll check your asylum claim 15 years from now. And for some reason, that's a mystery why we're getting 2 million people illegally crossing the border. It's no mystery. We happen to live in the greatest country in the world, and everybody in the world wants to come here. This is not a mystery. This is why no president has done an asylum policy like this. This is why no president in the past has managed the border like this, because we would have a massive rush at the border. In December 21st, a bad situation gets worse. And this body just yawns and says it's no big deal. It is. And when this blows up in our country's face, all of us are going to have to answer for it. Now, to be frank, the vast majority of the people that are coming across our border illegally are just trying to connect with family that's already here, also illegally present, but they're just trying to connect with family here. They've got a job opportunity and want to be able to come to the job opportunity. Completely respect that. There are individuals around the world that can make 10 times as much money if they cross our border and to be able to come into the country. I understand the pull factor of that. But we do have a legal process where we manage that in theory. But who cares about the legal process anymore when you can just pay a cartel and come into the country illegally? The cartels on our southern border are some of the most ruthless cartels in the world. May I remind this body what we all know full well. State Department does a listing for every country in the world about Americans travel, do not travel. A level 1 is Canada, a level 4 is Syria and Yemen. Don't go there. We can't get you out. We all know that, ranking full well. Can I remind you, the states just south of our border in Mexico have a level 4 rating from the State Department, warning no American to travel in that area. Just south of our border. Why do they have that rating from the State Department? Because a ruthless set of cartels run several of those states. And the State Department is advising all Americans, do not travel there because it is not safe for you and we cannot get you out. Those are the cartels that are being paid by all the trafficking coming in. And last year when I was there, I asked the Border Patrol, have you been able to track how much the cartel just immediately to your south, this was in McAllen, Texas, can you track how much that particular cartel makes on trafficking people into the country? Their response was, yes, we do interviews with folks, we know how much they're making. So what's the number? They said the cartel just in this area, not the whole 2,000-mile border, just in this area south of McAllen, Texas, they make $152 million a week trafficking people into our country. Our open immigration system is enriching some of the most ruthless cartels in the world, and we're currently doing nothing to stop it. Just wait till December 21st comes. Then let's see what happens. With that, I yield the floor.